Welcome back everyone to the channel. Hope you're all doing well. Today we have another episode of The Better Choice. I know it's been a long time, but today we're going to be focusing on Best Animated Feature. And if you're new here, this is how it works. Basically, we're going to look at Best Animated Features, see what won the Oscar for Animated Feature, and I'm going to give you my choice of what I think should have won. It's either going to be the same thing or it's going to be a different thing. This is all for fun. I'm not an Academy voter. I just like having fun doing it. So yeah, that's how we're going to do it. We're going to go from 2013 all the way to 2024. So this is going to be a pretty long video. So make sure to join in on the ride. Before we get started though, make sure you leave a like, subscribe to the channel. We're on the road to 700 subscribers, helps a lot, but let's get right to 2013. All right, the Best Animated Feature award went to Frozen in 2013. The other nominees were The Croods, Despicable Me 2, Ernest and Celestine, and The Wind Rises from Hayao Miyazaki. And through this video, through the years, I'm gonna have to let you guys know I haven't seen all of these movies. That's just how it's gonna be. I haven't seen all of these. I only decided to really get into film only a couple years ago, only when I started to do the YouTube channel. So yeah, there's gonna be some of these that I haven't seen. You're gonna have to let me know if these are worth checking out. But yeah, Frozen did win Best Animated Feature in 2013. I would say this is a good pick, but I think this is a very safe pick. You know, that's when the Academy went for Disney, Pixar, just like how, you know, in Best Visual Effects, they went for Marvel. They just wanted to play it safe, you know, please the general audience and all that. But there is some better picks here. The only one on here that I haven't seen was Ernest and Celestine. I think that's how you say it. I've never seen that. I'm gonna have to check it out. But The Croods, you know, I think it's a fine movie. I think it is actually pretty good, but I think Frozen does overtake Croods as a better movie. Despicable Me 2, it's fine. This Despicable Me movies, I think it's funny that they're nominated. There must not have been a lot this year because overall they're pretty average except from the first one. We'll see how Despicable Me 4 goes, but they're pretty average. So Despicable Me 2, it just isn't in, you know, it's not even in this, you know, we're not even going to count it at this point. But The Croods gets pretty close to Frozen, but I take Frozen over The Croods. But I think The Wind Rises is a lot better than Frozen here. Like, if you're not even a Hayao Miyazaki fan, just look at the, you know, animation on this film. Look at the story on this film. Hayao Miyazaki did so much for this film, and I think this was going to be his last movie, but then he decided to make The Boy and the Heron. So I'm surprised they didn't give it to him for this, but the Frozen did win. But my pick for 2013 would be The Wind Rises from Hayao Miyazaki. In 2014, Big Hero 6 took home the award for Best Animated Feature. The other nominees were The Box Trolls, How to Train Your Dragon 2, Song of the Sea, and The Tale of Princess Kaguya. I have not seen that last movie. I don't know what that is about, but I've seen the other four. Song of the Sea I think is pretty good, but I didn't really have an attachment to it like some other people. Big Hero 6 though, I really love this movie. I saw it for my birthday, the year it came out in 2014. I think I was 11 at that time, so it kind of meant a lot to me. The Box Trolls I think is kind of like the Song of the Sea, pretty good, but nothing I really go back to a lot. But let's talk about How to Train Your Dragon 2. How to Train Your Dragon 2, oh my goodness, that is a fantastic movie. How to Train Your Dragon as like a whole is like, that trilogy is fantastic, and it's one that I don't know, a lot of people don't talk about it enough as they should. Like, it's so great. I think it's better than so many Pixar movies, so many Disney animated movies, and we're gonna get a live action movie next year. Hopefully that turns out great. But How to Train Your Dragon 2 has so many emotional moments that really tugged at my heartstrings. Like, you can say 3 has some pretty emotional moments, which it does, but 1 has some pretty emotional moments, but 2, with his dad dying and Toothless killing him, and him like, because Toothless was under like a spell and all that from the bad guy, and all the bad guy in this one was pretty good, and like, oh my god, it tugged at your heartstrings so much. If you watch it, man, it gets me. And then the ending, when, you know, Hiccup and Toothless become reunited once again as a team, and Toothless becomes the one and only, the one dragon to rule them all. Oh my god, it got me so hard. It's such a great movie. Big Hero 6, I love it. I think it has some pretty good emotional moments also, but I know a lot of people love it also, but for me personally, I think How to Train Your Dragon 2 should have won, so I'm gonna take How to Train Your Dragon 2 in 2014. In 2015, Inside Out took home the award for Best Animated Feature. The other nominees were Anomalisa, Boy in the World, Shaun and the Sheep, the movie, When Marie Was There. So I will literally tell you guys here, 2015, I must have been in a coma because I only saw 2 of these movies. I will be honest with you. I've only seen 2 of these from what I know. I don't recognize any of these other ones, but I've only seen Inside Out and Shaun the Sheep the movie. I kind of feel bad for only seeing those two, but I don't know what happened with me this year. Maybe I just didn't turn into any of these. Maybe all these were just, you know, not very popular, but I've only seen those two. So I really can't say much on this year. I'm gonna have to have you guys in the comments tell me which ones are better here. But Shaun the Sheep the movie is, you know, it's decent, but Inside Out is a whole nother different level. It's one of Pixar's best movies. We got Inside Out 2 coming out. It's probably already out by the time I'm uploading this. But yeah, I'm gonna have to stick with Inside Out 2 on this pick because I have not seen many movies from this year. So Inside Out gonna be the one that deserves to win it in 2015. In 2016, Zootopia took home the award for Best Animated Feature. The other nominees were Kubo and the Two Strings, Moana, My Life as Zucchini, The Red Turtle, and those are kind of more than I have seen in 2015. I will tell you that. The only two I haven't seen are My Life as the Zucchini and The Red Turtle. I've never heard of those two films in my life. They must be stop motion or something like that. I've never heard of those. I feel bad when I say I haven't heard of these, but it's just the honest answer. And back in 2016, I was not watching the Oscars. I was not really caring about that. I was just caring about like video games and all that. So it's my fault, but at the same time, I've never heard of those. I do want to say though, Zootopia, it's a great pick, but another safe pick with another, you know, Disney movie. But I will say, it is great. You know, Zootopia is one of my favorite Disney animated movies. I do love the dynamic between the two main characters, and I think it has a lot of standout moments. I know a lot of people can make fun of it and say it's a pretty, you know, average story, which I will say, like the twist you can see coming from a mile away. I do agree on that point, but I think the movie as a whole is great. Jason Bateman is great as the voice in here, the main voice, and I cannot wait for the sequel. I've been waiting for a sequel. This is, you know, people say we don't need the sequels to these movies, but this is one I've been waiting for a sequel on, so we can see, you know, the team come back, the duo come back that we need and love. And so let's talk about the other two. Kubo and the Two Strings. This is really a fantastic movie. If you haven't seen Kubo and the Two Strings, it's great. I think it's directed by Travis Knight, who also went to go do Bumblebee after this. And Bumblebee is my favorite Transformers movie. So Travis Knight, he has the sauce, he has the aura. Let's just say that. Moana is also a great movie. So you got a pretty great lineup this year. If I were to compare like Moana and Zootopia, I don't know. I think I would still take Zootopia over Moana just because Moana isn't really a story that that I really relate to a lot. I know a lot of girls would probably relate to Moana's story, but Zootopia is really just a movie for everyone, I would say. But this comes down to two movies for me, which is Zootopia and Kubo and the Two Strings. I will say Kubo and the Two Strings is great, but I think it comes down to rewatchability for me. And just edging it out, I'd say Zootopia deserves to win it for this year. So Zootopia is also my pick for 2016. In 2017, Coco won for Best Animated Feature. The other nominees were Ferdinand, Loving Vincent, The Boss Baby, and The Breadwinner. I have not seen Loving Vincent and The Breadwinner. Just going through these years, there's a lot of movies that I haven't seen, but I think that's for a lot of people. A lot of people haven't seen these movies. But I saw The Boss Baby, Ferdinand, and Coco. I think this should be pretty easy, like all the other ones. The Boss Baby, I don't even know why I watched it when I did. It's not really for anyone. It is basically in the name of who this movie is for, which is babies. Because who is watching this as a full-grown adult? I will not be watching it again. And there's like sequels, there's like spin-off TV shows. Like this kind of movie has a whole universe built off of it. It's actually kind of insane if you think about it. It's just a weird story. Like this baby is like a secret spy agent, and it knows like a lot of things. It can talk, and it's a weird movie. Ferdinand, it's a story that I don't really care much about. It's a movie that's pretty average. But Coco is terrific. I really do love Coco a lot. I think it's one of Pixar's best, like top 10 for me. It's a great story, even though I don't relate to it. I really do love the story that they're telling, the emotional kind of things that they're trying to tell you here. The voice cast is great. The music is great. Sometimes music doesn't work a lot in like films for me or animated films, so I thought the music was great in here. So my pick in 2017 would have also been Coco. In 2018, Spider-Man and Into the Spider-Verse won for Best Animated Feature. The other nominees were Incredibles 2, Isle of Dogs, Mirai, and Ralph Breaks the Internet. And the only one I haven't seen was Mirai. I've never heard of that in my life. The other four I have seen. So let's talk about Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse first. This is literally the best pick you could have gone with. But, you know, I'll still talk about the other ones. But yeah, this is a game changer for animation. Truly changed the landscape of what animated films were trying to be. You can see other films try tried to copy this film. Like you've seen Puss in Boots: Last Wish, Teen Mutant Ninja Turtles: Mutant Mayhem basically copied it in a way. I'm not going to really say copied it, just took inspiration. But this film really inspired a lot of different animated styles. Now this is a film that we really look back on, we really appreciate, because we were kind of tired of the same animation and all that. And this film just is beautiful in and out through every different scene. Having Miles Morales be the main character is amazing. You know, it didn't make a lot, but a lot of people discovered it on Netflix and all that, and then Across the Spider-Verse ended up making so much money. I was lucky enough, I actually did see this in theaters when it first released. I really do thank myself for seeing that. It's you know, my second favorite animated movie. It's terrific, one of the best superhero movies of all time. Then we have Incredibles 2 for this year. I'm a big defender of Incredibles 2. I absolutely love that movie. I love how it took place like literally right after Incredibles 1 ended. Love the story here. You know, the change of animation it's good. You know, I do kind of go back to Incredibles 1 because I like its nostalgia factor in its animation. The villain, though, kind of just let that one down for me. It could have been really amazing for me, but the villain was not great. Isle of Dogs, I think is really good, but it's not one that I'm going to go back to a lot. It really isn't. I do appreciate it on the first watch of how it's like animated and all that, but it's not one that I go back to. And then Ralph Breaks the Internet. That's probably the worst one on this list because you were having a sequel to Wreck-It Ralph, which is a great movie. I really do love Wreck-It Ralph. I feel like that's a really rewatchable animated movie. Then Ralph Breaks the Internet is literally just a Disney commercial, and it has a terrible story, and it doesn't add anything. It really just makes me just bash my head in when I watch that because it's so boring and it's just not funny. Like the first one's so great, and then you go with a sequel that just is not good at all. So for my pick on 2018, I would definitely do Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, just like the Academy did. So we got the same pick this year. In 2019, Toy Story took home the win for Best Animated Feature, while the other nominees were How to Train Your Dragon, The Hidden World, I Lost My Body, Claws, and Missing Link. So I've seen everyone except I Lost My Body, and Toy Story 4 winning this one. I think it's a very interesting pick because there's a lot of other better movies on this list, and you saw it the last year. That's the year where kind of a different movie took over the landscape. A Sony movie won instead of a Disney or Pixar movie. And Toy Story 4, this movie has a lot of discourse around it. I don't know if there's this much discourse when I first saw it when it released in 2019, but now there's a lot of discourse because they greenlit Toy Story 5 and all that. Everyone's like, is it needed? Is it needed? Was Toy Story 4 needed? And I'm like, really, if you think about it, no movies are actually needed. Like, do we need a Batman movie? Do we need, a Shawshank Redemption movie? Do we need a Godfather? We don't really need any movies. They're all just made for us to celebrate, for us to watch. We don't really need any movies. We don't really need any stories. Like, you could say the same about Toy Story 2. Did we need Toy Story 2? Did we need that? Did we need the continuation of their story? No, we didn't, but it was great to see it happen. Toy Story 4, people asked if we needed it, and, we don't need it, but it's a great movie. It's really an amazing movie, and I think the animation upgrade from 3 to 4 was so cool. Like, a lot of more detail in Toy Story 4, and I love the new characters with, like, Forky and all that. Kind of Annabelle doll was interesting, and this kind of feels like Woody's epilogue right here, Woody's ending. So I don't know what they're gonna do for 5, but I'm interested to see the story there. But this is an amazing film. I really do love how his story ended there. It made me so emotional when they said goodbye to him. I was like, oh my god, pulling at the heartstrings. But yeah, it's a great movie. Did we need it? No, but it's great that we have it. How to Train Your Dragon: The Hidden World, though, this is one that could go against Toy Story 4 in a big way because, as I said, this trilogy is fantastic. One of my favorite trilogies of all time. The ending, of Hiccup and Astrid's story with Toothless, and you have that emotional sequence at the end where they say bye to him, and then they find him again. Toothless has kids, and oh my god, it just pulls at your heartstrings. The villain in this one is pretty weak, I will say that, but the rest of the movie is pretty good. Missing Link is not one that I would even say has a lot of, good moments. I would say it's pretty average, and a lot of moments actually I didn't care for. So I wouldn't even pick this one if I were an Academy member. But Claus is also a great movie. One of the best Christmas movies I think I've seen in a long time. I watched it for the first time this last Christmas. I really enjoyed it a lot. So I would say, those How to Train Your Dragon: The Hidden World and Claus are very close. But in 2019, I would have also picked Toy Story 4. In 2020, Soul took home the award for Best Animated Feature. The other nominees were Onward, Over the Moon, a Shaun the Sheep movie, Farmageddon, and Wolfwalkers. The only ones I haven't seen here were Over the Moon and Wolfwalkers. Shaun the Sheep, the movie, Farmageddon. Oh my god, we have another Shaun the Sheep movie. I don't know why they keep doing it. I guess a lot of people do love the Shaun the Sheep movies. I don't really care for them. I think they're pretty cute and pretty harmless, but at the same time, I don't really, go back to them a lot. I guess that's the point. You watch it once, then you're pretty much done with it. Onward. Onward is a Pixar movie that, it didn't really move the needle for me much, but it isn't bad. I will say it is good, but it's Pixar playing it pretty safe, but they're going with a story that, does get to you at some points, but it's some of the creature designs and all that, some of the, story points, some of the pacing has some pretty big issues, I would say. I think it could have been great with a tighter script and, a more relatable story and characters and, maybe a better voice cast, but I will say Tom Holland and Chris Pratt did their job. They were fine, but they weren't amazing. While Soul is probably, a top 15 Pixar movie, while Onward is like a top 25, like the bottom 10, bottom 15s kind of thing. Soul is really relatable to a lot of people when you're getting older, and a lot of kids will find this one pretty cute. But I think this one really gravitates to adults and young adults like me, because it discusses the soul, like what you're worth living, why living is important and all that. Really discusses that landscape of things and your worth as a life in this world and the value that you have and what you're thinking about all the time. And so it's a very hard movie to kind of explain, very hard movie to talk about, but it's more of the experience that I get out of Soul. And it has some beautiful animation, some of Pixar's best, I would say. So it's kind of sucks that this one didn't really get a theater release. I think this was a Disney Plus, go to Disney Plus kind of thing with COVID, but I wish I got to see it in theaters. But the experience of watching this was just mind blowing. I was like, wow, this is such a a deeper Pixar movie than some other ones. So 2020, Soul won, and Soul would definitely also be my pick. In 2021, Encanto took home the award for Best Animated Feature. The other nominees were Flea, Luca, The Mitchells vs. the Machines, and Raya and the Last Dragon. The only one I haven't seen is Flea, but I've heard it's fantastic. So I'm going to definitely have to get on that. But Encanto, I think Encanto is also a great movie. It's not a story that I relate to, as I said, with Coco, but a lot of people do. It made a decent amount of money at the box office, too. This was one of the most, I think this one was, the biggest, animated film coming back to theaters. So I think this one did have a theater release. Then it went to Disney Plus, and I think it's it's a very popular movie on Disney Plus nowadays. This and Moana are like the most popular animated films on Disney Plus at the moment, so that's really cool. And the I will say the songs in here really worked a lot. I think Lin-Manuel Miranda worked on those songs for this one just like he did for Moana, so I think that's why this one works so much. And Luca is a great one that a lot of people didn't get to check out because it didn't release in theaters, just like Soul and Onward. It was a Disney Plus kind of straight to Disney Plus kind of movie, but this was a fantastic movie, kind of about these two guys who basically are fish, and then they go up to the land, they turn into humans, then they start living with them and all that. And they want to live with them. They want to go coincide with them and live with them through all these different things. They want to go to school and all that. They want to have all this fun. Their parents are like, no, you live in the sea and all that. It's a great movie. Great story about friendship. Great story about going to, the outer world. Mitchell's vs. the Machines, though, I think is also a pretty great movie. So in 2021, you had a lot of great movies here. Nothing that really blew me away. I know a lot of people think the Mitchells vs. the Machines blew them away and all that. I didn't love it as much as some other people, but I still thought it was really good. I really love the animation I think this was a Sony film. I love the animation that Sony went with here. Raya and the Last Dragon, another pretty good Disney movie. I really liked Raya as a character. I really liked the fight scenes here. I love how they went with kind of interesting fight scenes here, kind of interesting creatures here, with the dragon and all that. That was an interesting part of that story. When I first watched it, I was like, yeah, I don't know if I'm liking this through the first 15-20 minutes, but the rest of the film was actually pretty good. So that one's also a great one. So it's actually pretty close here between something like an Encanto or a Luca. Mitchell's vs. Machines was close behind those, but I just don't go back to that one enough. But for me here, Encanto won for 2021, but my pick would have been Luca. In 2022, Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio won for Best Animated Feature, and the other nominees were Marcel the Shell with Shoes On, Minions: The Rise of Gru, Puss in Boots: The Last Wish, and Turning Red. The only one I haven't seen was Marcel the Shell with Shoes On. I did watch the first 20 minutes of that. I don't know where I was when I watched the first 20 minutes, but I watched the first 20 minutes, and I never actually got back to it because I don't even know if it's streaming anywhere. It might be streaming on Max, so I'll probably check that out once in a while. Minions: The Rise of Gru. another Despicable Me-esque Minions movie come out. This one dominated the box office though. I think it got pretty close to a billion. I think it was like at a 950 to 980 million dollars worldwide. Dominated just like in July this year. Despicable Me is going to dominate also. Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio though, it did win here, and I will say that stop motion animation work was terrific. This is a Netflix movie. A lot of Netflix movies I don't get to see in theaters, but luckily for some reason they brought this to my theater. I don't know why that was. Maybe because they knew it was going to win an Oscar, and so they released it into more theaters. But this was a great experience. You know, I'm not the biggest fan of stop motion kind of stuff like that, but just seeing all the work they put into it and the behind the scenes stuff was terrific. I was like, damn, this is great. Guillermo del Toro really cares about his product that he wants to put out, really cares about his work, takes a lot of time to really get this going. It's a very emotional film sometimes. Pinocchio's story though isn't my favorite. I don't really I love the Pinocchio story, but I love how he did change some stuff here from the actual story. But the second half of the Pinocchio story isn't my favorite. I will say the first half of this movie worked a lot for me. Then the second half went down, but it was still good. So it's kind of like a story of two halves of the movie. Puss in Boots' Last Wish though, that is fantastic. A really fantastic turn of events from what the Shrek universe is going for. Where's Shrek 5? I don't know. We still need it. But this really was a different movie, for the Shrek universe. It changed the game because it was a change of animation, kind of like a Spider-Verse, kind of took inspiration from them and all that. And you're introducing Death, which is maybe the best villain in the DreamWorks universe, kind of Shrek universe. He was freaking me out every time he was on screen. I saw this early. I saw it like a month early. I don't know why they were doing such early screenings, but I thought that this movie really changed the landscape for what could be for like a Puss in Boots Shrek movie. So hopefully go to Shrek 5 soon. I'm waiting. And then we got Turning Red. Turning Red I really don't like personally, as it doesn't relate to me, and I just didn't care for it. It's probably one of the few Pixar movies that I don't care for. I don't really hate Pixar movies. There's only some that I don't care for, which is like this one, the dinosaur movie, The Good Dinosaur, and Cars 2. Those are the ones I really don't care for. So yeah, I don't care for Turning Red. And I will say, there's this big competition here. This was a big year for animation. Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio won, but my pick would have been Puss in Boots: The Last Wish. The last year that we're going to talk about is 2023, which is also 2024, because that's when it did win the Oscar. But The Boy and the Heron ended up taking home the award, and the other nominees were Elemental, Nimona, Robot Dreams, and Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. The only one I haven't seen here was Robot Dreams. I have an excuse for that though, because it literally didn't release anywhere near me. Still hasn't come out. I guess it has like a worldwide release this year. This month. I still haven't had it in my theaters. Neon is the one from that's releasing it, and they have a really big issue with releasing movies near me. I don't even know if I'll be able to see Longlegs, but I've heard this movie's great. I heard it's like a silent film, something like that. You have a really stacked lineup this year. I think this is one of the most stacked lineups in probably the last 10 years. Nimona though is probably the one I'm the lowest on. I think it's good though, but I think a lot of people overhype it. It has a pretty great story. The animation though is something that I didn't like. I didn't like the style. That has just seemed a little bit cheap for me. The main character, I think she was okay. She's a little annoying at times, but yeah, I think it's good but not amazing. Elemental, I think this is a very underrated Pixar movie. Saw opening night and I loved it. I fell in love with it. It's like the Pixar's first true romance. I love like that fire and ice kind of thing. Fire and water kind of reminded me of the cool math game Fire and Lava Girl, kind of like the Lava Girl and Water Boy. I think that was what it's called. It reminded me of that. I played that all the time in school. But yeah, this had some great animation, great different elements in here. You got like trees and all that. You got air, you got fire and water, as I said. But yeah, the voice cast was great here, and just the duo of them and the romance of them worked out so great for me. I think it's really rewatchable. If you haven't seen it, go watch it. But we got to talk about Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. This is oh my god, this is a juggernaut of a movie. This truly felt like it is a part one of part two kind of thing, but it truly felt like it changed the game once again after they already changed the game with Into the Spider-Verse. The animation is off the charts. The soundtrack is off the charts. How this didn't win, I don't know. I love The Boy and the Heron. I think it's great. I haven't got a chance to rewatch it because it's not out on physical media yet until like July. But when I saw it in December in theaters, I actually saw it in IMAX. It was great to see this in IMAX. I was like, Hayao Miyazaki really did it again. He made another great film and the great cast, some great animation. The story kind of had a bit of rough spots in it. The ending I made me left wanting more from the story, so I will say that's the weakest parts. But I don't know, Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse didn't win. I think it's the clear winner. I guess it ends on a cliffhanger, that's why. But I think that, you know, The Boy and the Heron did win, but I think the true winner for 2023 should have been Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. So those are my picks for all the past animated feature awards for like the past 10 to 12 years. That's it for my video though. I hope you guys did enjoy. Leave your picks down below. I want to know what you guys would have picked. If you guys would have picked the same thing, it's fun to discuss this, so leave your picks down below. If you did enjoy though, make sure to leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out.